What's going on, my fellow A-Plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC movies, and television news and talk right here on our YouTube page. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for certainly joining us today. I'm back. Your host, Adam Perez. I took a little bit of a week hiatus, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, but listen, we had two fine gentlemen man the ship for us last week. So quick shout out goes out to Indy along with Stuart for certainly manning up and hosting our show and making sure that we were still set to go. So thank you very much, guys. I definitely appreciate it. But it's not just me today, guys. You know, I got to bring on my partners in crime, my fellow nerds of the multiverse that's going on here. What's going on, Stuart? It is so good to see you, man. How you been, bro?
I've been good. Good to be back on the show. Good to see you again. Yeah, I just need to wake up and I'm ready to talk about some real fun articles today.
Yeah, hey man, you and me both. Hopefully, I'll get my coffee here in a minute to kickstart me for the remainder of my weekend. I've got some football later on to look forward to. Fantasy football team is looking kind of this year. We'll see what happens, man. But we got a ton of guys. This is probably going to be a packed episode, so certainly sit back, relax, have your bowl of cereal, drink your coffee. We're going to be getting into a ton of stuff today, guys, from some Marvel stuff, DC especially, and some things outside. Regular just movies in general. But let's see who's actually in our live chat today. We wind up having Power Rangers in your area. What's up, Alec? Good to certainly see you. And of course, Shadow Nova Productions certainly coming through also. And of course, guys, as other people wind up straggling in, certainly go ahead and do your part in making them feel welcome from today's episode. So Stuart, how was it last week, man? You and Andy seem to do pretty well with the topics. You guys have a good time in regards to hosting without me? How'd it go?
Yeah, I think it went surprisingly really well. A couple of problems on both of our ends when it came to like just internet connection, but that just kind of comes to be expected whenever we're using like StreamYard.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a damn internet connection these days. You know what I mean? So I totally get it. It does tend to drop or get kind of fuzzy from time to time. So, but yeah, no, you guys look great. I didn't watch the whole entire episode. I wanted to let you guys be free, do your own thing. I did eventually go back and watch the episode. But from when I did pop in for a little bit, you guys look great, man. So thank you very much for helming A-Plus Hero Report while I was certainly gone last weekend. But before we get into any of our topics, Stuart, you know, sometimes there are some topics that maybe just don't quite make the cut, or we just don't want to go on for 3 hours talking all day, all weekend long. So some things don't make the cut for our stories, but we do have some honorable mentions that we want to go ahead and bring up. And I believe you mentioned that you have one, right, Stuart? What did you want to go ahead and bring up real quick?
So on the set of the Batman, I found one image on Google Image about this, but I couldn't find the first photo I saw of this. But I saw the same photo essentially from a different angle. But anyways, on the set of the Batman, they saw that there's someone dressed up as Superman. It's a very cheap looking costume though, so I don't think it's like actually Superman like in universe there. But what I think might be going on is that this movie might be taking place like during Halloween or something like that, and probably during some Halloween party you might have someone in a Superman outfit there. But either way, it is pretty much enough to confirm that Superman does exist in that Batman universe. So I thought that was that was pretty fun. I'm not sure if that like set photo is actually going to be in the movie itself, or you know, because when filming a movie, you film usually like 4 hours worth of footage, and like usually a third of that gets deleted and never seen again. So I'm not sure if it's going to be like one of those scenes, but you know, if it is there, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be pretty neat. I mean, I'm definitely on the lines of what you were thinking, that maybe it's just like a Halloween costume. I mean, I believe some of the inspiration for the Batman does come from the series The Long Halloween, the graphic novel. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is certainly a moment where some kid does dress up as Superman. But at least, I mean, hey, if there's a Superman costume, it's got to have had reference from someplace, right? So maybe there is a real world Superman out there. So we'll definitely see. Speaking of set photos, I believe Indy said that they were shooting the Batman out in Chicago, right? I think he sent us like a text message or something like that about maybe the idea of trying to go out to the set, maybe.
Yeah, he did. I'm just kind of like, oh my god, if he can get some good pictures for APlus Opinions Facebook page, that'd be amazing.
That would be pretty amazing. We'll see what happens though. But also speaking of set photos, Stuart, we wind up getting our first glimpse this week of the Batmobile from Batwoman, which I didn't even know that they were going to give her a Batmobile. Secondly, I didn't even know Batwoman in the comics had a Batmobile, but they are officially giving her one. This is from the streets, man. This is somebody on the streets wind up taking this photo, but we get the opportunity to see the Batwoman's Batmobile here. What kind of car do you think that is, Stuart?
No idea. As a car though, it looks pretty sick. As a Batmobile,
To me, it almost looks like a pimped out, like old
yeah.
Pontiac to me, like from this
Oh,
photo
actually,
at
I can
least.
kind of see that. Yeah.
But it
Uh,
definitely looks like it's
yeah.
a. Is that a Corvette? Like I don't
I
know
have no
what that
idea.
is.
I'm honestly not a big enough dude on when it comes to cards.
Comes to cars.
But if my brother Ed were here, he'd probably know right off the bat.
Some tells me that that's a Corvette, man. Um, but I could be wrong. Somebody let us know in the chat if you guys are familiar with what type of car this is. But that definitely looks like a Corvette to me, but maybe I'm wrong. But you guys definitely go ahead and let us know. But yeah, Batwoman is in fact getting herself a Batmobile. I thought that was rather interesting to say the least. And our last sort of honorable mention I wanted to go ahead and bring up, because you guys know I'm a huge comic book fan. DC, I feel, tends to have some pretty amazing events when it comes to just changing the status quo of their comic book division from time to time. And it definitely seems as though they have plans beginning in 2021, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Here's an introduction to DC's future slate to discover the destiny of the DC universe, as DC is getting ready to really introduce us, I guess, if you will, to maybe another multiverse of heroes, maybe some heroes that take place in the future, if you will. This is going to span about a 2-month period where a lot of their main titles are going to be on hold for them to solely focus on this DC future state. When I kind of think about this, for some reason, the other comic book ideas that kind of um, make me think of this, I automatically go to like Age of Apocalypse for some reason, with those, the 2 or 4 months, however long they certainly did, they had their run of certain titles and whatnot. So it seems as though DC is certainly doing its own thing here in regards to the future state. I honestly love some of the character designs that we've seen so far. I believe that a lot of these designs are made by Dan Mora, who, that name should be familiar with you if you're a big Power Ranger comic book fan. He did draw Power Rangers for quite some time, but I believe that's Dan Mora's artwork there. I also wanted to share just this. Let me go ahead and pull this up. This is the actual website for the DC Future Slate. It says a DC Future Slate, a glimpse into the future of the DC universe. It says a DC Future Slate gives fans a look at the future of the DC universe this January. It says DC is starting 2021 off with a bang, giving fans a glimpse into the future, both near and far, full of current and new characters, as the publisher announced plans today for DC Future State, a 2-month line-wide event beginning in January through February 2021. The full title lineup will feature a combination of monthly and twice monthly oversized anthologies, as well as monthly schedules of miniseries and one shots. So it says the multiverse has been saved from the brink of destruction, but the triumph of DC's heroes has shaken loose the very fabric of time and space. The final chapter of Dark Knight's death metal will bring new life to DC's multiverse, kicking off this glimpse into the unwritten world of the DC future. So I'm really looking forward to it. And then they also have a bunch of actual brand new covers for some of the upcoming titles they have. The next Batman, Dark Detective, which I love these covers by Dan Mora, to be quite honest with you. Superman and Batman. We've got Catwoman. So they definitely have their Batman line of a future slate stuff that they're going to be coming out with. They also have their Superman stuff. I believe there's like 2 Supermen now, or 2 sons, I should say. You've got a Superman that's been like exiled off of planet Earth. It kind of, this photo for some reason kind of reminds me of like Planet Hulk, but just Superman, if you will. We've got some Wonder Woman stuff here, Superwoman. So yeah, a huge DC slate. They're introducing us to a brand new Wonder Woman, also straight out the is it the I believe it might be straight out of the Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong there. The Justice League coming clearly, and a couple other photos and other titles also. So, Stuart, I'm a big fan of what DC tends to do sometimes when it does come to their um when it does come to their comic books, if you will, because they do tend to really change the status quo a ton from time to time. But now that you've gotten an opportunity to get a glimpse of the future slate, what do you think about some of these?
I'm just hoping that they don't make the same mistake that they made with New 52, where they don't actually like plan anything out when it comes to restarting the universe. And I'm hoping because like all this seems really cool on paper. I'm just hoping this is something that the writers have all planned out this whole time, and they know how they can end their current running stories, and they know like where to move forward with this. Because I feel like they did that with Rebirth, and that's why a lot of fans really enjoyed DC Rebirth. Because you could tell like there was a lot more time that writers had to not only wrap up their stories but get ready to like start a whole new universe and all that kind of stuff. But for New 52, it just came from left field for too many of them. So I'm just hoping that they don't, do that again with the future slate. I also do like that it does look like they're changing a lot, but it doesn't look like they're getting rid of everything like rumors were originally saying about it. Because the rumors were that it was originally going to be called I believe DC 5G, if I'm not mistaken. And it was only going to have like the next generation of DC heroes, like all the older characters were going to be killed off screen. I thought that was a terrible idea, but I think if they're going to integrate it this way and have it be so you get a mixture of both, I think you're going to please everyone essentially.
Yeah, and you might be right. I mean, I don't know how they're going to do as far as like the current storylines that are going. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they still had like left some of their current storylines open and just came out with this sort of swinging, if you will, and then eventually we'll get back into it. I mean, considering the fact that it's only a 2-month slate, I feel like they probably have their storylines in a row. Now, what happens after that 2 months, I certainly don't know, but it seems like it's simply just a 2-month event, and then maybe they'll go back to sort of the status quo that we normally have here. But I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there's some trickling effect from this other multiverse where maybe some of these new characters wind up sticking around into our status quo universe. Who certainly knows? But I truly do enjoy when DC takes these big chances with their characters. Whether or not they nail it, we'll certainly see. But they tend to, for me at least, I feel like they have a ton of fun when it comes to just messing around with their characters and bringing in new designs and things like that. So we'll see what the future slate winds up holding for us. But again, that will begin in January of 2021. So, all right, Stuart, you ready to get into this week's set of news, man?
Indeed. Let's do it.
Let's do it, guys. Let's do it. So the first story that we want to go ahead and talk about today, guys, is we're going to go right off the top with our main article. And this actually comes to us from The Hollywood Reporter. If there is one character I feel out there that a lot of people have been asking and maybe buzzing about, whether it be another live action television series, hell, maybe another animated series, maybe even a movie of its own. One of those characters has in fact been Static Shock, a character that was introduced to us way back in the 90s, and ever since then has just continued to gather steam in regards to his popularity. And it seems as though, ladies and gentlemen, we finally will be getting ourselves a Static Shock movie. This comes to us from The Hollywood Reporter, letting us know that Michael B. Jordan and the Outlier Society set to produce a DC movie, Static Shock. This is an exclusive report for them. It says Jordan will join Reginald Hudlin on the feature project that was first revealed during August's DC Fandom event. Michael B. Jordan is boarding Warner Brothers and DC Static Shock as a producer. It does say the movie jolts the project up a few kilowatts. See what they did there? It says, giving the cult hero some firepower as it goes into active development. This is what Michael B. Jordan says. He says, I'm proud to be part of building a new universe centered around I'm proud to be a part of building a new universe centered around Black superheroes. Our community deserves that, said Jordan in a statement to The Hollywood Reporter. Outlier Society is committed to bringing to life diverse comic book content across all platforms, and we are excited to partner with Reggie and Warner Brothers on this initial step. Now, it does say that Outlier will be the creative center of the Static feature, and for Jordan, a comic book fan, this is an opportunity for not only for some world building, but to be directly involved in franchise building. Should the first movie spark a hit, a multi-platform franchise could in fact be born. It does go on to talk a little bit about Static Shock in regards to its first appearance in 1993 for Milestone Comics, which is a now defunct company funded by Black writers and artists to help make comics more inclusive space, and which had a distribution through DC. So DC did distribute Milestone Comics back in 1993. So, man, you know what, Stuart? To be honest with you, man, I actually grew up a ton on Milestone Comics. It definitely is a set of titles that I believe actually my parents kind of introduced me to be honest with you, letting me know about this line of fantastic Milestone comic books. I mean, starting off with Static, we had I don't want to say the Iron Man side of things in hardware, but we also had like our Superman for Milestone and Icon here. We also had, I don't want to say their Justice League because they were far from getting justice, if you will, but the Blood Syndicate also, like some really great features and titles that Milestone Comics created back in 1993 that from time to time has sort of made its presence known in the DC universe. And I believe, if anything, Milestone Comics is now starting to have an even bigger presence now. So to see a Static Shock go from a comic book from 1993 to fame with its animated series, the idea that we're now possibly getting ourselves a Static Shock movie makes me out of this world. Honestly, I'm super excited for this. This is honestly like even watching on Stuart, like even watching Black Lightning on a weekly basis, there is always a part of me wondering, are we going to get Static Shock in the DC television universe or in some capacity, right? So there definitely is an urge and a want for this character. So props to Outlier Society and Michael B. Jordan for certainly coming on board to doing Static Shock. Do you think he's going to play Static Shock? Do you think he's a little bit too old for the role, or you think when it comes to this movie, at least producer and maybe hands on other things? What do you think, Stuart, in regards to this news?
I definitely would not want him playing Static Shock because, yeah, just because I guess the Static Shock that I grew up with was always like a high schooler, so I wouldn't necessarily want to see, someone. I think Michael B. Jordan's like in his 30s, right?
yeah.
So I would want someone like really young to play the role, essentially. But yeah, I do think him as a producer, and if he plays like another role in the movie, whether it's like his dad or like just a villain in the movie, like I think that's a brilliant idea. And yeah, I think bringing these comic books to life is, we've seen before, this will be successful if they do something like this. Not only because, audiences want more diverse superheroes, but because I think I've mentioned this on the show before. When I was like young, Static Shock was a huge hit. Like when it was on TV, like a lot of people I knew, even people who weren't nerds, loved talking about Static Shock.
Yeah, I honestly, to be honest with you though, it is a series that I personally missed out on as a kid. It said that I don't know what year it wind up coming out on, as far as I'm trying to see if it showed like when it was an actual series itself. It says a decade later from when it officially debuted in 1993, he was revived into an animated series. So 2003, I was probably like in my 20s, or like early 20s, maybe late teens. So I think I might have missed the boat on the Static Shock series. But make no mistake, Stuart, you're absolutely right. Like even though I wasn't watching it, I knew plenty of people that certainly were watching it back in the day. So I knew exactly how big of a character Static Shock certainly is. And again, I feel like especially back in 1993 and even currently, the lack of diversity and inclusion. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Milestone's Comics was in fact created, was to bring more Black superheroes sort of to the forefront. So to have somebody as prominent of a Black figure like Static Shock get that level of popularity, please bring him to the big screen. You know what I mean? I think it's just another example of having people see themselves on screen and letting them believe that they can do whatever they certainly want to do in life. So I think this is a great move, especially for Michael B. Jordan, where he probably wants to take this kind of thing. I mean, Static Shock to a franchise, I could easily see that happening.
Yeah, definitely. I remember there were rumors about a movie being in development like years ago, and me and a few others not being super excited for it because like the first thing that was announced was, oh, and Jaden Smith will be playing Static Shock. Oh
I
man.
heard that rumor. Yeah, I heard
So
that rumor.
hopefully that's not the case in this, but yeah, like especially because I think even he's like too old for the role now. But yeah, I do think that it's going to be a real big hit when this movie comes out, without a doubt.
And I personally don't mind Jaden Smith. I honestly think maybe if they had cast him when he was younger and took advantage of that, maybe, because I really enjoyed Jaden Smith in The Karate Kid. I thought he did a pretty good job. And I think he was even in the Netflix series The Get Down, if I'm not mistaken, also, which I was a big fan of his. But yeah, I think he might be a little bit too old. So whoever they wind up getting to play Static Shock, I think is going to be in for a fantastic role and opportunity. So I'm looking forward to see who they're casting. When it comes to this, I do find it interesting that Michael B. Jordan is attached to this, because I would assume, if anything, this probably would come from DC as well, considering the fact that Milestone Comics is a part of their line. A few months back, or maybe sometime last year, I thought that we had heard conversation of Michael B. Jordan having a discussion or a meeting with DC. Remember when there were rumors out there, people saying, "Oh, Michael B. Jordan is going to be the upcoming Superman," because he had that meeting with DC executives and things like that. Who knows if maybe this was part of their plan the whole entire time? Was like, "Hey, we want to bring you in, talk to you, and bounce some ideas off of you. What would you be interested in possibly tackling, whether it be performance wise or producing wise?" So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe some Michael B. Jordan talked to them about this, using either Static Shock or maybe the idea of building up Milestone Comics. Because to be honest with you, Stuart, I don't know how familiar you are with some of these Milestone hero characters, but when I look at this, hey, Michael B. Jordan, if you want to produce a Static Shock movie and it turns out great, do you want to come on and become Icon? Like, you can be your own black superhero if you want to, out of this new sort of multiverse world that we're sort of creating. Like, I would love to see that kind of opportunity given to Michael B. Jordan if he wanted to go on and become a hero for DC in this light. I think that would be really cool.
Wow, I didn't think of that until you brought that up. Yeah, he'd be perfect for Icon, I think.
Yeah, because he's an older gentleman now. We know that that has the ability to get swole as F. So the idea of him getting him a sidekick and some superhero abilities, man, I honestly love the idea of seeing Michael B. Jordan as Icon. Even if they did go the route of the Black Superman, I think that would be cool too, because it is in comic book lore. But man, if he's going to be attached to a Static Shock character, I think that just opens up the possibilities for a Milestone cinematic universe with him maybe at the head of it. I think that would be really neat.
Yeah. And plus, if they wanted to too, they could even have like that milestone cinematic universe exist within the already existing DC universe too.
They certainly could.
Really opening the doors that way.
They certainly could. So the possibilities are there, guys, not only for Michael B. Jordan, but definitely for Static Shock as a whole, a character that I think a lot of us were certainly hoping would get the opportunity and shine one day to not only have his own animated series, maybe even a live action series, but most importantly, certainly a movie. And I think this is going to impress and really take a lot of people by surprise as to his success. So we'll see what happens, guys. But listen, at the end of the day, we want to know your thoughts. Shadow Nova says, "How do I audition?" Sign me up for Static. Hey man, you got to go ahead and get yourselves an agent. Move out to Hollywood, make some audition tapes, find you an agent. Anything is possible. Shadow Nova, do it, man. Do it. I would love it. But guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to any other last minute thoughts for Static Shock, Stuart. Before we move on?
No, just pretty much covered it all. I think it's going to be a great film. I hope that it takes a few cues from the TV show. It's willing to, it can stay, friendly to for all kids. Definitely, because you definitely want to be a kids movie, but don't be afraid to definitely tackle some strong subjects.
I definitely agree with you there. So we'll see what winds up happening. Is there anything else from the animated series you would like to kind of see get adapted?
Definitely hope they bring in his friend who becomes like kind of the tech guy later on, whose name I forgot. I want to say it was Reggie, but I could be wrong.
So he had a man in the chair too.
Uh Kind of. He became more of a field guy later on, but because yeah, essentially he was just kind of his friend that was just there. But then because I feel like the writers just wanted him to do something, he gets metahuman powers that makes him super smart. So he makes like a tech suit.
Okay, okay. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see if he winds up getting introduced in this film. That'll be interesting, man. I look forward to that. All right, guys. I think we're gonna wrap up that story for Static Shock. So again, let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below on your thoughts of Static Shock getting himself his own live action movie produced by Michael B. Jordan. I'm so excited for that. All right, guys. We're gonna go ahead and move on to our next topic today. We're gonna get into the world of Marvel, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like this week has been just a back and forth in regards to, yes, this is just true. No, this is not true. Let's try and shuffle through this mess, ladies and gentlemen. The first one that we definitely want to talk about, and Stuart, if you want to get the banners for me also, if you want to take down that Static Shock banner, that'd be great. The next topic that I definitely want to talk about is in regards to Spider-Man. Spider-Man 3 has been in the news a lot lately, whether it be from announcements that, hey, listen, Jamie Foxx's Electro is coming back, whether it be announcements like Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange is going to be in Spider-Man 3. One of the announcements this week that wind up getting some people up in the tizzy, if you will, is that the website Fandom Wire recently went ahead and released an exclusive, if you will, saying that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield have signed on for Spider-Man 3. This is what fandomwire.com is saying. Now, to be honest with you, fandomwire.com is not really a website that I usually go to for a lot of my sources of information. So when I read this article, I'm already sort of skeptical about it, if you will. But the article, it says, a Sony source closely involved with Spider-Man 3 has confirmed that both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield has signed on to reprise their respective Spider-Man roles next to Tom Holland. So that's been the story that's been going around for, I would say, for the past week or so. But to be quite honest with you, maybe that's not necessarily the case. Let's check this out here, Stuart. This actually comes to us from Entertainment Canada. Entertainment Weekly's Canada, if you will, saying that the Spider-Man studio says that Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland casting rumors are unconfirmed. Huh? Let's look at this a little bit more. So it says fans had their spider sense tingling with news that Garfield and Maguire may make an appearance in the next Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland. It says ET Canada reached out to Sony Pictures, the studio that owns the movie rights to Spider-Man, in the light of the rumors that former Spider-Man are in talks to join the reigning Spider-Man. This is what he says. This is what the studio rep says here. Let me know what you think here, Stuart. Those rumored castings are not confirmed. That's all he says. So we're trying to get some answers here, man. Hey, buddy, these rumors, are they confirmed? And his response, those rumors are not confirmed. Well, thanks. I feel like we're maybe back to square one here. Stuart, what's going on here, man?
It's Sony trying to deny it without directly denying it because they want people to still have that curiosity, because that curiosity will still drive them to see the movie, even if they don't think for sure it's going to happen. That's what I think it is. I personally don't think they're going to be in it, just because I feel like if we were going to have Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in the next upcoming Spider-Man movie, I don't think Sony would be able to keep their mouth shut about it. I think they would be excited to let the fans know that this is happening, a live action Spider-Verse movie. I know the movie's like a year away, so maybe if it does officially get confirmed, they'll make an announcement about it. But essentially, for now, I just don't think it's going to happen. I think that if it does eventually happen, it'll be once Sony gets their license back, like fully with Spider-Man, so it's no longer with Disney anymore.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're definitely under the impression that those rumors that we've heard are not true. You're leaning on the not true side.
Yeah, I'm still kind of leaning more towards the not true side.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I found this just super odd to me. I mean, I don't want to say super odd, but this definitely, talk about grade A level deflection, right? I mean, answering the same question with this, like answering the question with the question. Are these rumors unconfirmed? These rumors are unconfirmed. Okay, you literally just said the same thing I asked. So to me, this definitely smells that of maybe we've got plans, but maybe we just don't want to tell you, sort of thing. Or maybe we've got plans, but maybe not on the movie that you think we've got plans for. Stuart, I think this is happening, but not for Spider-Man 3. I've said this before. I really do think this is happening for Into the Spider-Verse 2. And I have a feeling that maybe Sony has had conversations with them, has maybe agreed, but people are thinking Spider-Man 3, man, Spider-Man 3. No, I'm thinking Into the Spider-Verse number 2. And here's why. Phil Lord and Miller, I keep saying Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, Phil Lord and Miller, they recently came out a while back, I believe, and mentioned the idea that one of their initial plans for Into the Spider-Verse was to possibly have a live action Spider-Verse introduced with Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire. But Sony executives told them that it might have been too soon to do something like that, which is why they axed that idea. And we wind up getting the Into the Spider-Verse that we certainly did. Still a magnificent movie, to say the least. It won Best Animated Film that year, for goodness sake. So if anything, I would not be surprised if Lord and Miller go back to the well once again for their sequel and say, hey, Sony, listen, you didn't let us push the envelope in the first one and it was still successful. Now can we play in this pool that you've given us of Spider-Man goodness? And I think Sony's going to let them do it. So if you were to ask me, this seems very much like a yes, we have talked to them, but we don't want to confirm it with you because we can't confirm it that it's for Spider-Man 3. It's a confirmation for another movie down the pipeline Into the Spider-Verse 2. So maybe that's why they can't confirm something. But that's just simply my speculation. I do think this is going to happen, but I just think people have the wrong movie. And it'll be in the sequel for Into the Spider-Verse. But I don't know. We'll see. What are your thoughts? So do you think that we'll get it at all or no?
In that particular scenario, yeah, I think that's a huge possibility for the Into the Spider-Verse 2. I also do think it's a huge possibility for like the next Tom Holland Spider-Man movie that isn't going to be like co-produced by Disney. Like, so when it goes, and it's strictly a Sony film, I think it's going to be the possibility of like crossing over with other Spider-Man then like goes way up. I kind of feel like right now, the only reason they're not doing anything like that yet is because they do want to keep most of their Spider-Man stuff like within that MCU world, and they don't want to really diverge into the Spider-Man side of things until Sony completely has the licensing back for it.
And you might be right. You might be onto something there. I mean, the idea that Sony is the ones that put out the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield movie, those are their properties. Like, I don't know if I want to share all of my Spider-Man with you, MCU, right? Like, we fully established these characters well before this Marvel Cinematic Universe. So maybe we don't necessarily include them in all of that fun. But, hopefully they'll have some multiverse fun a little bit when it comes to Spider-Man 3. But it definitely feels as though they are embarking on just the idea of a Spider-Verse and the concept. And listen, I think 2021 is going to be the year of the multiverse, man. I truly do. We got a taste of it this year with the Crisis on Infinite Earths, and now I think 2021 is going to be the big year where the multiverse idea kind of takes over, whether it be for Sony, Marvel, or DC for that matter.
Depending on if Into the Spider-Verse 2 comes out before Spider-Man 3, I actually think they might do the same thing that they did with Venom, where you have like an end credit scene where it says, meanwhile, in a separate universe, and then you actually cut to like a preview for the next Spider-Man movie.
I like it. I'd be completely down for that. But listen, guys, we definitely want to know your thoughts in regards to it. Do you believe that Maguire and Garfield are in fact coming back? Again, this article that said that they were usually is not a website that I usually follow closely enough. as far as like reliable stuff, because I just didn't see sites like Variety or Deadline or the Hollywood Reporter really running with those stories, if you will. But some other places certainly did. I think maybe Screen Rant. I could be wrong, but I'm kind of curious to know that what you guys think. Do you believe that they're coming back for Spider-Man 3 now that Sony is kind of, sort of, but not denying it? Where do you think these guys are going to pop up, if at all? Go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live comments. Or excuse me, the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Stuart, I'm definitely leaning your way. I feel like Sony probably wants to hold on to these guys until Spider-Man is really back on their side of things. But we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. Mm-hmm. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic for the day. Sticking in our Marvel news again, Stuart, it feels as though people are trying to deny things that we've gotten announcements on already. It's a lot of back and forth here this week. This one, a little bit to me, is, I don't want to say a bit of a shocker, but it does have me scratching my head. Maybe it has a lot to do with just the level of enthusiasm that I had for this actress playing this role. But look, guys, about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks or so, we came on here and reported to you guys from deadline.com, a very reliable source for the most part, that Marvel has in fact sort of settled on who their She-Hulk was going to be. And they went ahead and announced, or I should say, Deadline went ahead and announced Tatiana Maslany as the brand new She-Hulk. But according to her, that's not the case. That's not the case, guys. This is from comingsoon.net. Says She-Hulk Tatiana Maslany denies her involvement in the MCU series. What is going on here? First off, I hate this picture of her. Who just pasted green over her face? This is just lazy. The worst CGI effects I've ever seen. But anyway, it says a month after news broke that Emmy-winning actress Tatiana Maslany has been tapped as the MCU She-Hulk, it seems her casting hasn't been finalized yet, with the orphan Black star finally speaking out about it in a recent interview with the Sudbury Star. When asked about the big She-Hulk news, Maslany surprisingly denied her involvement with Disney. She says that actually isn't a real thing, and it's like a press release that's gotten out of hand. It's totally not. I've been connected to these things in the past, and press has gotten onto it, but it's not actually a thing, unfortunately. And she even adds, "Yeah, I don't know how these things get. I don't know. You know better. I have no idea." So that's what she said. Should this indeed be true, it would be put Marvel Studios and the actress they've tapped for a role in a really awkward position. So yeah, it looks as though Deadline reported one thing. Maslany has now officially come out, mind you, Stuart, a month later. It's not like we just announced this a week ago and she's now just getting, hearing about it. This was announced a month ago and she's now just mentioning this to us. What are your thoughts in regards to this, man? I mean, do you think she was initially announced? Do you think she was officially cast and then maybe something came up and she wasn't anymore? Do you think this was never true to begin with? What are your thoughts in regards to this, Stuart?
Honestly, I have no idea, because
it's all over the place, right?
The only thing I find so weird about this is that it took an entire month for her to deny it. And usually when you have like a rumor like that, usually that following like day, you have at least either the actress or Disney themselves denying these like rumors. But yeah, not only the timing of it, but also the fact that the original article was written by Deadline, who we go to a lot because they tend to be a very reliable source. So it's kind of surprising that this ended up not being true, because you would have thought they wouldn't have posted it if there was any chance at all that it wasn't going to be accurate. So yeah, no, this is just so bizarre to me. Part of me is like kind of wondering, like, maybe she wasn't allowed to say anything about it, and during the interview she just got really nervous and wasn't sure how to deny it without just spending the truth. Like most actors, they usually just go, "Oh, I can't say anything about that right now," but maybe just in her case, she was too nervous and on the spot, so she thought denying it was the easiest way not to talk about it. I have no idea. Again, if it was like just one of these factors, I wouldn't think anything of it, but it's just all these factors together are just so bizarre.
You know what, man? I mean, maybe the pressure of that Marvel sniper scope on your forehead 24/7 just really gets to some people. Like,
Exactly.
maybe you're right. Maybe she was super nervous. She's like, oh no, somebody asked me about She-Hulk, and she's looking around the rooftops, like making sure, looking through the windows, making sure there's no snipers on her, and she's just blurting out whatever comes to her mind as much as she could possibly deny it. So maybe that's the case, Stuart. Who certainly knows? Because it does make me like, Mark Ruffalo even came out and congratulated you, was like, hey, congrats, cuz, welcome to the family, right? Like, even the screenwriter came out and like talked about how pleased he was about her being on there, like in tweets to her. Like, so it's not like she wasn't oblivious to what was going on in the world around her for the past 4 months. So it's super odd that this just that this is coming out now. The one thing that I will say here, Stuart, is that if she is telling the truth, I'm wondering if this is a case of like her and Marvel were in the process of having negotiations, right? Like maybe Disney and Marvel did settle on her, and they were like, you know what? You want this role. We want you for the role. Let's sit down. Let's negotiate. And maybe that's the news that wind up sort of getting out for Deadline, and maybe that's why they certainly reported it. But maybe the talks weren't finalized. I mean, it does happen, right? I mean, all the time we'll hear a person's in discussion or in negotiations or final talks, if you will. That doesn't mean that they have officially landed the role. 9 times out of 10, they certainly do land the role, but sometimes maybe negotiations just don't go well. Maybe talks don't go well, and people have different visions, and somebody winds up leaving without an official announcement being given. So maybe that's the case here. Maybe Maslany and Marvel just didn't negotiate everything correctly, or the way that they certainly everybody felt comfortable with. And now she's kind of, I don't want to say walking out, but maybe everybody's just moving on, and maybe we'll wind up having a brand new recasting. I really hope that it's her, and I hope that this is her just trying to protect her ass from the Marvel snipers. But something about this, just the timing and everything, just makes me feel like, yeah, maybe the negotiations fell through and she's just not a part of the project anymore. But it just feels odd, Stuart, for sure.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. It might just be the pressure, but I do think there is a good chance that her reason for denying it could be that unfortunately negotiations fell through. But yeah, I guess this is something we'll have to wait and see on. But yeah, I am curious though, overall, if we're ever going to find out why it took a month to find out that the casting, if it ends up not being true. I am curious if we're ever going to find out why it took an entire month for that to come out.
Yeah, because I mean, the Deadline, again, there's a reason why we highlight so many articles from Deadline, because again, those are the, like, being in that type of a part of a news source like that, you got to double and triple check your sources. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, oh, I heard something, let me write about it, right? Like, you want to make sure that the multiple sources that you have, or really trustworthy sources, are giving you the correct information before you run with anything. And so, because not only did they run with it, but I'm sure Variety reported it, like big names in regards to Hollywood reporting certainly came through with that story. So yeah, Stuart, maybe something happened behind the scenes, or again, maybe she's in full-on denial mode. We'll have to wait and see. But man, this would just be a bummer for me, because I loved her in what I did see from Orphan Black. Was a big fan of hers in Perry Mason, and I really do think that this was going to be a really great role for her if she landed it. So we'll see what the future holds for She-Hulk and Tatiana Maslany. I was just getting so pumped, because I felt like for the past month, we were getting a ton of DC, Disney Plus television show news from Marvel.
Yeah. But you know what this means, man? We gotta sue Deadline now. They made us look stupid. They made us give out false information.
I literally went back to that Deadline article. I'm like, did we misread this thing? Like, no, I'm like, no, everything seemed pretty legit in these articles that we wind up reading. You know, we do our best around here, guys, when it comes to APlus Hero Report to make sure that we do provide you guys with correct information as best as we possibly can. There's a reason why we don't highlight certain sources or certain websites and things like that, because we want to be able to bring you the most trusted sort of news, if you will, from the more reliable sources. So we try and keep you guys up to date in everything that's certainly going on out there. So there may be some storylines that you guys read throughout the week that we don't even bother to tackle because we're just like, we don't necessarily trust some of those sources. But so yeah, we do our best. We do our best, and I feel like it's rare when Deadline either gets something wrong or they completely missed the mark. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and at the very worst, it's like what we'll do every once in a while, me especially, is I'll bring up rumors, but I try to make sure when I bring them up, I'm like, no, these
At least
are
you
rumors.
clarify.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not clarifying anything. Yeah.
Yeah, at least you break it down for them that way. So that works perfectly. But guys, listen, when it comes to She-Hulk, what do you think? Why do you think it took her a month to go ahead and deny these rumors? Do you think she will in fact be She-Hulk? Do you think that she's just protecting herself from Marvel? Let us go ahead and know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, Stuart, we're going to go ahead and push through to another Disney topic here. One that I think will be a really fantastic discussion between us, man, because I think we're both big movie heads. And with the way that the pandemic has certainly taken movie going, especially in regards to movie theaters as well, the future for not only movie theaters but streaming services in general are certainly a big main topic these days. And with a lot of movies being postponed, with a lot of movies being pushed back, there's a lot of fans out there that are demanding, let's get these movies on these streaming services. We want to watch them now, sort of thing, right? There's now a big question out there as to what's the future going to hold. Will movies be back in movie theaters? Is streaming the way to go? I want to go ahead and bring up this topic, Stuart, because I did find this quite fascinating. This article comes to us from comingsoon.net, letting us know that there's a Disney investor pushing for big films like Black Widow to debut on Disney Plus. Now, the full article for this Disney investor, his name is Dan Loeb. You can actually go to his Variety article if you want to, where he speaks about it. But the article here says last month, Black Widow was among the many high-profile film releases that were pushed back to 2021 due to the pandemic. It says to some people, Disney made the right call to make the delays, while others, including Disney investor Dan Loeb, think that the company should have foregone its planned theatrical release and moved them to streaming instead. So this is what the investor says. He says, speaking with Variety, Loeb believes that tentpole projects like Black Widow would immediately get Disney Plus the upper hand on their streaming competitors, such as Netflix. Should the House of Mouse really consider this move, it would definitely attract subscribers and generate them more profit, especially if they would use the premium access strategy that they first applied to the release of Mulan. So this is what Dan Loeb says. He says, my understanding is that the old line executives don't want to go over the top with their big tentpole movies, which is why they announced they were pushing Black Widow and others to 2021. I don't think they appreciate the tiger they have by the tail, which is to say, the value they can drive by moving into a subscription model, which has been adopted by everyone from Microsoft to Amazon. It's so value accretive. He says, so what Netflix has is this immense subscriber base that allows them to invest in an enormous amount of content and amortize that to get more subscribers. Disney isn't there yet, but they need to get there as quickly as possible. If they don't get critical mass in their subscription base, they will permanently be disadvantaged versus Netflix. And the Variety article goes on to talk even more highly about Dan Loeb's thoughts in regards to just the movie theaters in general. But I did find this fascinating because Dan Loeb clearly is one of those investors that are leaning towards that idea that releasing these movies in streaming is a much better idea. The only thing that I would say to this is, listen, I get where Dan Loeb is coming from. But Stuart, for me, this is a case also of save our movie theaters, like this for me, this feels, and maybe I'm just an old school guy that just loves his movie going experience, that loves seeing these pictures on the big screen, the way that they were certainly meant to be seen. But I also get Dan Loeb's persuasion here to Disney, the idea of pushing some of these films on Disney Plus, because what's the one thing that we've been saying, Stuart, right? Streaming is the future. And I think in the day and age that we're living in now with our climate and the pandemic, more than ever are people reaching out to streaming services to keep them company during this time. Will people ever feel safe to go back to the movie theaters after this, right? Is there going to be money to be made at the movie theaters going forward? Or do we have to now rethink our movie going experience and now push everything towards streaming? For me, when it comes to his idea of pushing Black Widow to Disney Plus, I feel like that's just a quick fix for people that want to see Black Widow right now. For me, I completely understand why Disney hasn't pulled the trigger yet. They've got a ton of big tentpole films that they've invested millions upon millions of dollars into. And unfortunately, that turn around to a VOD or a subscription-based movie for Disney Plus just isn't going to bring in that same amount of profit that it probably would have if it was in movie theaters. Black Widow probably could easily make anywhere between $500 to $1 billion at the movie theaters. It's not going to make $500 million, I can tell you that much, or close to $1 billion streaming wise on Disney Plus. So it does leave the question, what do they do? Do they push it? So listen, when the Disney investor talks about pushing these movies, I get it, because I do think that there is a plan in place. Like, I do think that Disney Plus needs additional content, right? There's something great about HBO Max and Disney and Netflix that provide premium content. They always have original series, original movies that they're still providing for you guys on a weekly basis. Disney Plus has not done that. We've gotten Hamilton, we've got a Beyonce piece, and we've gotten The Mandalorian since it's been there. One season of The Mandalorian, mind you. And there's just not a lot of fresh, brand new content that's hitting Disney Plus. And so I'm assuming Dan Loeb here is talking about the idea, like, listen, if Disney Plus is the future, if streaming is the future, you got to get up your subscription base. You got to put out these big movies on there, because maybe then these big movies will turn into more subscription and more profit that you're coming in. But would it still amount to the same amount of money that they would make when it comes to moving out into movie theaters? I just don't think that's the case. I think this is an investor who has money invested in Disney and wants to make his money back. This is probably an investor who during this pandemic has felt the impact of the pandemic from Disney, of them and other sources just not making the normal income. And this is somebody who probably wants his money back as quickly as he possibly can. So I can also see the selfish side of maybe why he would want to push them to streaming. I don't think he's fully wrong, but I do think that there is maybe some things in his argument here that you can kind of maybe pull the strings on a little bit. So I think he's onto something. But I just don't know if the move right now is to move these big movies to Disney Plus. What do you think here, Stuart, in regards to his thoughts?
I think the number one thing he's completely incorrect about is when he says that he doesn't think Disney knows what they have. They know what they have. There's a good reason they haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. Two big reasons. One, the timing was really bad for Disney having Disney Plus up, because it felt like they were planning on shooting all this original, really high quality content that would have been exclusive for that site. And then the pandemic kind of ruined a lot of that. Man, because yeah, that I feel like that was like a huge factor. What Disney Plus probably should have done was waited before releasing their platform until they had more than just the Mandalorian filmed. Like waited until they at least had like one other Marvel show, and that they had begun production on a few other things as well. Um, so like I do agree with him on that set and in that area. And I even do kind of agree that yeah, it would be a fast way to get your money back if they just release Black Widow now, but you also wouldn't be getting the most money out of it if you did it now. So I think in the case of how much they're going to be getting overall, it's smarter to wait till it goes to theaters. But at the same time, I do also see like the one argument that he made that's really good is that the longer they wait to pull the trigger on like the high quality content on Disney Plus, the more people are going to start leaving really early, and then by the time Disney Plus becomes what everyone was hoping it would be from the start, people might see it as being too little too late.
I definitely agree with you there in regards to the idea of maybe being a little too little too late. But listen, the one thing I will say here is like, Disney Plus, they do have Mandalorian season 2 coming, right? And they do have WandaVision coming by the end of this year. We know Falcon and the Winter Soldier is almost completed filming. So we know that's coming also, right? So maybe we are getting to that point of Disney Plus where they're starting to turn that curve, if you will, where now I feel like because we are in this pandemic situation, we've said this here before, TV seems to be the future now in regards to it. Television is increasing the level of storytelling that you can tell, the level of budget and production value that's going into television for some of these streaming services. Streaming service and television shows are in fact the key. So I do agree with him when he says Disney Plus, it's got to be your main focus going forward. It truly does. You've got to start putting productions together in development so you can start pumping out this premium content so you can drive people towards your subscriptions. And I think that now that people are getting their footing, getting back into studio productions a little bit, starting to create more television, I'm hoping that this is Disney starting to take more cues and being like, hey, Star Wars, I know we've got movies, but we need some TV content. Pixar, I know we've got movies, but we need some Disney Plus content. Let's start doing some things and putting some things into development because they are going to need that. Now, whether or not that means you take some of these movies like that and drop them on Disney Plus, I don't think that's the way to go. Because listen, and I'll say this also, Stuart, while I know some people will say, hey, listen, while Black Widow might make $500 million anywhere to $1 billion, right? If you release it in movie theaters, something is better than nothing, right? Put it out there, make some money back. But I think people also forget, Stuart, that when a movie goes out there and it makes $500 million or it makes $1 billion, the companies, those studios, they use that money to turn it around and create other movies, right? They use that money to create maybe smaller budget films or, to kind of help put more content out there. So less money means less things in development for them. So I do think, let me throw this out there to you too, Stuart. Do you think that this if this really does impact the movie theaters, as some people are saying that it does, do you think the time of big tentpole films like that are made for $150 million, that are made for $200 million, do you think a lot of those movies now maybe go away and start becoming reworked into television series?
Definitely possible. I hope not. The biggest thing is that yes, this is definitely going to negatively impact movie theaters overall, but they're not going to go anywhere. I don't think movie theaters are ever actually going to die like a lot of people are worried about. Now, mom and pop run theaters, like, the kind of more independent theaters, those are the ones that I feel really bad for because I don't see how they're going to be able to recover from this. But essentially, the big theater chains, Cinemark, AMC, and Regal, they're not going anywhere. They're going to be around for a long time. Even after this pandemic, they're definitely going to recover because you already have like big Hollywood investors, like, investing money into theaters in order to try to keep them around. So they're not going to go anywhere. But yes, I do think that a lot more higher production is going to be going into television now. And I think one thing theaters could start doing is, which they've done in the past, but now they could like take that to a whole new level, really capitalize on how successful TV is becoming by maybe having more Fathom events where you will probably air like, special TV events in your theaters. Like, I think
like
you
that
even
idea.
mentioned that they did that with Lost, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, the season finale of Lost, they opened up movie theaters and they let you come in and watch the season finale. I feel like maybe they still do that for certain things. I know they do it like for
Mhm.
football games and now too. So, yeah, maybe for TV specials that would be great.
Yeah, they did it with Doctor Who
That's
for
right.
like the series opening. So yeah, like I could see that becoming like like do that, but like take that to a whole new level, And I think theaters in general should start trying new things, like probably do like more events, like bring in older movies, but like have cool like directors commentaries that are exclusive
Mm,
to your theater.
that
Uh,
would be pretty cool.
yeah, there's plenty of things theaters can start doing to adjust, and I feel like that's kind of the issue, is that they haven't really taken any of those steps yet to really adjust to like kind of the new status quo, essentially, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest reasons, going back to the Black Widow thing of why Disney doesn't want to release it straight to streaming, is then I feel like the moment they do that, the moment they put a Marvel movie in on a streaming service, that's going to be the moment where investors are going to start asking, "Oh, cool! So why don't we do that exact same thing with Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness? Why can't we just release that now in streaming?" And it's like, well, because there's no longer a pandemic, and then they'll still be arguing, yeah, but I'd rather just watch it at home.
Yeah,
So
man.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it could be like a domino effect, and then all of a sudden
Mhm.
now that's the expectation of everybody is that that's where the Marvel movies are going to be going now. So we'll see, man. It does worry me in regards to the movie theaters. I am glad that you are more optimistic than I certainly am. I mean, I'm not like I don't think I'm going completely overboard or panicking as of yet. I mean, I just know that movie theaters, I believe right now, some are certainly asking for help. I mean, I know some
Mhm.
people are trying to invest and give them an influx of cash so they can try and survive during this pandemic. But again, for me, it would be like, so 2021 arrives, like March or April. Are people going to be comfortable in going back to see these movies? So we'll see what happens when it comes to the future of movies and streaming. But it seems as though we definitely agree that streaming certainly is the key, certainly a focus that Disney should take its chance on, and certainly try and push forward some new content. It is funny that we talked about the movie theaters, because this is what Dan Loeb says in regards to the movie theaters, maybe to even push his reasoning for why he thinks these movies should be released on Disney Plus. He says people still use their AOL accounts and Yahoo email, and there's still some yellow pages, those big bricks of paper that get shipped around. So I don't think that the theaters will go away overnight, but it will be much more of a novelty experience in order to really distribute things. I think the world's going to go largely towards online distribution. So his idea is that it's going to be movie theaters may turn into sort of novelties, right? Things that stick around well after its time has sort of passed, if you will, right? Where people can still go and enjoy the movie theater, but it may not be where that big influx of money is. And I think that's probably a realization or something that maybe some movie theaters and studios, or movie studio companies, I should say, should start taking into an account. Are you going to be able to generate as much money and profit at the movie theaters as you once did, which is crazy because last year I think was like the most profitable year in box office history. And now we're questioning whether or not it's even going to be, if you're even going to be able to make money at the box office going forward. Do you think the box office will ever right itself? Or do you think uh, we've hit that area where it's like, well, I guess it's just up in the air, right, Stuart? A big question mark of, are we going to get over this pandemic carefully and successfully?
Honestly, yeah, I think that's kind of the bigger
That's
question
really the
here.
biggest
If
question.
because yeah, I mean, I mean, it really just depends on if like you believe some of the things that we're hearing about vaccines. Like, I don't think it's anywhere near as close as certain people in the White House are trying to make us think it is. If it does, if we were to get a vaccine by the end of the year, awesome. I don't know if that's going to happen. So if this pandemic ends up lasting even longer, then I might take back my initial statement of saying theaters will recover. If that ends up happening, if like, let's say worst case scenario, this thing goes on for up until next summer, let's say, then it's going to be a lot more challenging for theaters to recover. But I think that if we start recovering like around February, and that's when the pandemic starts easing off, and then like restrictions start easing off like a lot more, then I do think it's a high possibility that all the major theater chains will definitely recover. Again, though, like the people that are never going to recover from this, which really sucks when it comes to movie theaters, are definitely going to be the independent theaters out there. Because unless they have like a huge investment, or just a huge amount of money saving, or just like another job for them, I don't know how they're going to be able to recover after all this.
Yeah, that's going to be rough, man. That's going to be rough because unfortunately I don't see any help coming their way, unfortunately, which is a shame. No relief. So we'll see. Hopefully some does come for them. But guys, listen, we want to know your thoughts. What is the future for movies and streaming services? I definitely understand Dan Loeb's point of view, but I also think he wants a paycheck and he wants to see his money increase, and so he's probably really wants to see these big budget movies dropped now. Which I would be okay with if it eventually became like a plan of theirs, like, hey, we're going to start slowly transitioning, maybe phase 5 of Marvel is going to start more streaming stuff, maybe smaller budget films, who certainly knows. But I do think his idea is correct. In Disney Plus, that needs to be your tent pole. Push it, guys, push it. As far as Black Widow on those movies, let's pump the brakes and hold off just a little bit longer. Let's see what happens. But look, we live in the year that should be 2020 equals never say never, because so much crap has happened. So many crazy announcements have come out of this season, of this year, I should say. We don't know what route they're certainly going to go. So we'll stay open-minded and see what Disney winds up doing. But Disney Plus definitely is the future. So guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to that in the live chat or the comment section box below. All right, Stuart, great discussion, man. We got 2 more articles that we're going to be getting into before we jump into your live viewer questions today. This next one comes to us from Deadline. Also, Stuart, man, I don't know if you had the opportunity to check out Mad Max Fury Road. I'm pretty sure you probably did. Maybe you didn't, but a fantastic movie. I love me some Charlize Theron. I thought she did a remarkable job as Furiosa in that movie. Loved her chemistry with her and Tom Hardy, despite maybe even some rumors back behind the scenes that they didn't necessarily get along very well. But I've been wanting myself a Mad Max sequel for quite some time now. I've been wondering why they haven't pulled the trigger on it as of yet. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, we have something coming. That's right. This is coming to us from Deadline.com, reporting that Mad Max spinoff Furiosa is in the works at Warner Brothers, with George Miller directing. Thank goodness. And we also have ourselves some casting announcements, as Anya Taylor-Joy is set to play the title role of Furiosa. And then, of course, she's going to be accompanied by Chris Hemsworth. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II are joining her for the ride. So, yeah, guys, George Miller officially told Deadline about Furiosa having a deep backstory in the Mad Max universe, and now we'll finally get the opportunity to see it. Warner Brothers is in an advanced development in Furiosa, a spinoff featuring Miller's multi-Oscar-winning blockbuster Mad Max Fury Road, with the renegade character being played by Anya Taylor-Joy. So yeah, guys, it's coming. It's coming. Our Mad Max sequel that I think some of us were certainly looking forward to is about to be here. The fact that they say it's in advanced development makes me feel as though we know who we have. We're getting ready to start. I don't want to say maybe start rolling right away, but it seems very much quite far along in their development of this. So I'm expecting this movie to happen a lot sooner than we know it. But Stuart, you had the opportunity to see Mad Max. What did you think about the movie, if you did see it at least? And now that we're getting to Furiosa, what do you think about this announcement?
Yeah, I had been hearing rumors about this ever since Mad Max Fury Road came out back in 2015, I think. That they wanted to do a spinoff movie with her. So I'm glad to see that it's finally kicking off. I did not expect the casting change, but I guess that makes sense if they are playing it as a prequel to the series. So yeah, I count me in definitely.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting. I mean, when they told me Furiosa, I mean, I just assumed that maybe Charlize Theron was going to reprise her role. But when you find out that it is a prequel, it definitely makes sense. She is an incredible actress. I absolutely loved her. The last two movies I think I saw her in was The Old Guard, I think, on Netflix, which was a pretty solid movie. And then I also saw her in Atomic Blonde, I think,
Yeah.
which was another great one also. So bring on all the Charlize Theron you can. Clearly we're not going to see her in this role, but I'm glad that they are at least going to be following up with her particular character and giving us all that juicy information about her backstory. Anya Taylor-Joy, I really enjoyed her. I did miss New Mutants, unfortunately. So I didn't get the opportunity to see her performance as Ilyana Rasputin. It is a movie. New Mutants is a movie I do plan on seeing eventually, even though it didn't necessarily get the best reviews in the world. I don't think that certainly had anything to do with Anya Taylor-Joy's side of things, but I think she's an incredible actress. You're bringing somebody like a Chris Hemsworth to be planted. Think about this. Chris Hemsworth in a George Miller movie, in that Mad Max sort of world. I'm really interested to see what Hemsworth and Yahya Abdul-Mateen is certainly going to bring to this table, which, mind you, Yahya Abdul-Mateen is everywhere these days. I mean, Homeboy popped up in Aquaman. He's going to be in the Candyman movie. He was just in, was he in Us also?
Was he?
I think he might have been in Us. And I literally just saw him in Watchmen. Like, Yahya Abdul-Mateen is everywhere these days, getting some amazing opportunities. And I can't wait to see what he does in here. So, George Miller, you got another Mad Max movie under your belt, even though it's titled Furiosa. Count me in, man. I cannot wait for it.
I'm surprised this guy is still directing, because I saw how old he was when he was doing.
How old is he?
I think he's like in his 80s now, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm gonna pull this up real quick. George Miller, director,
but still directing and still like doing everything the hard way. That's like the other thing I hope they bring back from Mad Max Fury Road is there was so much of it that was filmed like out in the field, out in the desert. I really hope they don't take that away from it, because that was one of the really unique aspects of Fury Road, I think.
Yeah, a lot of practical, but trust me, Mad Max definitely had its special effects for sure. Mm-hmm. But I did appreciate what they were able to do practically, at least.
Yeah, definitely. I think it had like the perfect mixture when it comes to CG and practical effects. Because, when you mix them correctly, then you do a good enough job to where when there is CG in there, you don't notice it, because you're so focused on all the practical things around it as well.
And there was plenty in that movie that I didn't even know was special effects, because it was done so good. Man, for some reason I still got that image of the guitarist on the top of the car with the flames, just the flames and shit. But to answer your question, George Miller is 75 years old.
Oh, he's not that old. My bad. Now I feel like a dick.
75 years old, born 1945. So yeah, he's an Australian film director. I didn't even know he was Australian. Film director, producer, and screenwriter. So yeah, good old George Miller coming through with Furiosa. So I'm super pumped for this. I'm trying to see if it had a release date. In the world that we're living in these days, with everything just completely changing, I don't believe so. I'm not seeing a release date, but it does say that it is in advanced development, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, Furiosa movie starring Anya Taylor-Joy is certainly coming our way, guys. But listen, I want to know your thoughts. What did you think about the Mad Max movie by George Miller? Is this something that you're really looking forward to now that Furiosa is getting a movie of her own? And what do you think about some of the casting choices as well? Go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. And our last topic, Stuart, that we're set to go ahead and tackle before we get into our live viewer questions. Listen, guys, Amazon Prime has a hit on its hands in regards to The Boys. The Boys season 2 has officially wrapped as of last week, if I'm not mistaken, with the final episode, and a fantastic season. It certainly was, keeping up that momentum from season 1, giving us some amazing twists and turns and some great revelations in regards to season 2. But guys, season 3, make no mistake, is certainly on its way. This is an article to us from Entertainment Weekly that lets us know that The Boys season 3 is set to start filming early 2021. They're not taking any time in regards to getting behind the camera once again. After its success, the scripts and everything are certainly ready to go. Jensen Ackles is ready to go. Season 3 begins filming 2021, and I couldn't be more excited. I do want to highlight some things from this article also, Stuart, because clearly we're excited that it's going to get to filming once again. But it says season 3 will formally introduce Supernatural star Jensen Ackles as Soldier Boy, the original superhero. And Eric Kripke has a slight tease for that in the form of a photo for the first episode's script. And this is the first episode from Eric Kripke from his Twitter account. It says, "The boys will return. You're not effing ready." And season 3's first episode is in fact titled Payback. Now, it does say that Payback is the name of Soldier Boy's super team. Payback in the world of our show was the 7 before the 7, is what Eric Kripke tells Entertainment Weekly. We will be exploring the history of that team and all the members in it. So it does say that one of the reasons we're getting into Soldier Boy in season 3 and that team Payback is we're interested in exploring a little bit of how we got here. Through the history of the Supes, we can tell a little bit about the history of America and how we ended up in the current fraught position that we're in. Soldier Boy gives us an opportunity to do that. And I honestly think that's great. He says by fraught position, he means our current climate in which people are fighting against white supremacy and systematic racism. Certain politicians like to pitch this how is that Eric Kripke still talking? I'm not quite sure. But anyway, Stuart, it seems as though here's a little bit breakdown too for Soldier Boy. It says, as we learned in season 2, Soldier Boy was one of the first people injected by Vought's founder, Frederick Vought, with Compound V, the company's serum that gives superpowers to humans. Soldier Boy was active fighting Nazis in World War II. In the comics, the other members of Payback included Stormfront, who was gender swapped with Aya Cash in this role this season, Eagle the Archer, Ted Knight, and Crimson Countess as well. So Stuart, listen, man, you know, the one thing that I've said a million times is on this show and some of the reviews that we've done, I love world building. I love creating more lore for a television show. The fact that we got the opportunity to not only be introduced to Stormfront, but also Liberty, if you will, in season 2, Lamplighter, also the idea of Payback, learning a little bit more about Vought and Compound V. I love what they were able to do in regards to establishing some sort of history, if you will, to some of these characters, understanding the landscape a little bit better of where Vought kind of stands in regards to creating all these superheroes. So to know that season 3, we're going to get the opportunity to maybe even go back even further and see like the first superhero in Soldier Boy played by Jensen Ackles. That kind of stuff really gets me excited because clearly Eric Kripke wants to go ahead and start establishing what this world was like, what this history was like. And I'm all for it. Like there's something really incredible to me about just older superheroes and the idea of a new generation now coming up and being in their role, and really the importance of knowing your history and learning your history. So, you know, what they always say, right? Know your history so you don't repeat it, in a sense. I want to know what that history was like to see how we got to this place in the first place. And for me, take my money, Amazon, and the boys, because I'm coming back for season 3, because I can't wait to see what Jensen Ackles does as Soldier Boy, but to learn more about Payback in the history and lore for the boys in this season, in this show. Count me in, man. Count me in. I eat that stuff up. I just do. What about you, Stuart? How are you liking this news?
Okay, so I should point out that I've never read the boys comic books. So I'm looking at these names, Soldier Boy and Payback, and I'm wondering, is this supposed to be like their version of the Avengers, essentially? Because instead of Avenge, it's Payback. Instead of Captain America, it's Soldier Boy. If that's what they're going for, then that's just amazing. I love it. But yeah, I do love the idea of world building, because that was something we got a little bit of in season 2, especially when we learned like the history of Vought, how it started as like a German like pharmacy group that created super soldiers, and then like kind of moved to America, but still kept like that same thing going for them. I really enjoy that. I especially love how, you know, one of the things that was so funny to me, that one of the funniest lines to me in The Boys season 2, is that you look at everything that Vought does, you know, essentially, you know, they create superheroes as like kind of in-universe celebrities. They also have like their own movie franchise based on it. They have their own action figures, theme parks. They have all of this, but at the very core, they're a pharmaceutical company. And that to me is one of the funniest things about Vought. And that's one of the things I would love to see them explore a lot more in season 3 when they go over their history.
Yeah, like we're not in the business to make superheroes. We're in the business to make pharmaceuticals, man. You know, the things that give you those powers. And I love the fact that, yeah, I think it's a Giancarlo Esposito that winds up playing the head of Vought right now. Yeah, he's a great line, I think, that he winds up delivering. He's like, you know, we're a pharmaceutical company, and he's absolutely right, man, in regards to it. So we'll see what happens here, man. But like for me, I cannot wait. I'm super excited for it. I think they did a great job with introducing us to Stormfront. Getting to see her true past as Liberty, I thought was a really great sort of reveal and story arc for her also. So I mean, I'm eager to bring in some of these older superhero characters and see just really see the history of Vought and Compound V in general. So I'm on board with this, man. I can't wait. Like for me, I want to see like what's Soldier Boy up to now these days. Like, is he a retired superhero? Is he locked up somewhere? Like, what's going on with him? I would be eager to see like if he's still doing his vigilante thing or superhero thing at all, because I don't feel like they've really mentioned him as far as like a popular hero these days. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of wondering if they're gonna kind of pull a Captain America thing where it was that he was frozen for so long, but instead of it being that he was literally frozen in icebergs, maybe have it be that Vought literally had him on ice for so long so they could bring him back in a marketing ploy, but make it seem like it was something historic, like something like Captain America, like, oh, we found him in this ice, you know, buried in the Atlantic Ocean, but in actuality, it's like, no, we just had him in our labs this whole time.
Yeah, that would work. That would work perfect. Because listen, when it comes to Vought, you got to put on a show, right? You got to like things just don't happen. You got to make it happen. So like if they need better publicity or something like that, or better eyes, and maybe the events of what happened in season 2 really brought a terrible name to Vought and they need to rebrand themselves, maybe like, hey, remember Payback and Soldier Boy, let's pull them from the ice, or wake them up and put them back out in the field, sort of thing, when we need them. Man, that just shows you again just the marketability of like superheroes and really what Vought has done in regards to shaping and creating the idea of superheroes and needing them, if you will, you know?
Yeah, you're exactly spot on. It's Yeah, to me, like that's one of the most amazing concepts of the boys is that it's like really funny, kind of the way they make fun of just that world of marketing altogether, like the major extensive like lengths people go to make sure they can market something the way they want it, they need it to be marketed, not just in their vision, but in the vision that definitely fits like a lot of today's times. Like for example, I think one of the funniest things that the boys tackles in this particular scenario is, if someone says something that's totally against what your business has been about, like this whole time, um, the businesses will tend to flip that around. They'll like if some actor talks crap about like a certain studio, that studio will flip that on the actor and be like, yeah, he's absolutely right, this guy is a hero in our eyes for coming out about their story of what happened to them, and we support them 100%. And Bot's that type of company that does
Yeah.
that exact thing. So I have no doubt, yeah, if there is a reason he's coming back in like present time, it's going to have something to do with marketing.
And that should be pretty funny. I'm looking forward to seeing the execution of the return of Soldier Boy here, played by Jensen Ackles. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, we want to know your thoughts. Did you get the opportunity to check out season 2 of The Boys? If so, what did you certainly think, and what do you think about the idea of expanding this world of The Boys with some history lessons for season 3 with Payback and Soldier Boy? Go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, Stuart, that will wrap up our stories for today, sir. So those are all the topics, guys, that we want to tackle with you. And now we're going to go ahead and move on to our live viewer questions. Let me go ahead and pull these up from, let's see here what we got. I come back to a bunch of fantasy football notifications on my phone and no touchdown notifications. Thanks a lot, fantasy football. You suck. All right, this comes to us from AJ over at our APlus Opinions email address. Let's see here. AJ, for Static Shock live action movie, would you like Phil Lamar to have a cameo, who was the original voice actor of Static? What do you want the movie to have that's new and original, but also honor and respect the animated series? So for me, the Phil Lamar as the have a cameo, yes. Please, that would be fantastic if they certainly could. You know what? Let me change this color here to blue for Static Shock. Why not? Okay. So yeah, Stuart, would you like to see Phil Lamar come back as a cameo?
Yeah,
Possibly. I think that would be neat, man, if they did
definitely.
that. And I think you talked a little bit about this earlier about like what would you like to see the new and original, or at least honor and respect from the animated series. I never watched the animated series, so I'm not quite sure.
I definitely want to see like the family dynamic that they had in the animated series. I would love them to bring that into the live action part of things. Also, yeah, I'd love to see.
I know I don't know too much about the animated series, but I will say this: I just want to see him surfing on a
Yes.
sewer top, please. If they can do that, that'd be fantastic.
I think when he first did it in the show, it was originally the lid of a trash can, but then it became
Mm.
like the top of a sewer, whatever you call those. Yeah, that would
The
also.
manhole covers. There we go. Manhole covers.
The other thing we need, this would be straight out of the series as well. We need a montage of him like trying out new outfits and trying out like the limits of his powers, like we get in almost every
Every
superhero
sewer.
origin movie.
Yeah, I agree. My favorite had to be Supergirl's from the first season of Supergirl, where her and Win are trying to figure out what kind of costume, and she's coming in and out with like 3 or 4 different types of variant costumes. But yeah, we need that training and that costume montage for sure. AJ also says, with Supergirl ending with season 6, how would you like to see Kara's character arc end that will allow Melissa Benoist to return in the future for Superman and Lois series and other CW show episodes for crossovers?
I want to see her get back with oh crap, what was the guy's name? The guy,
William?
husband, no, the guy that her husband played.
Monel.
Monel, yeah, I want to see her get back with Monel, and maybe the two of them leave together in the future. But they also hint that she could come back at any time if they ever need her.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I feel like we've mentioned this before when we did talk a little bit about Supergirl season 6 ending. I'm definitely on board with you there. For me, I think it would be great to have a returning Monel. Maybe there's something that happens in the future and they truly do need the help of Supergirl in the future, and maybe that's what takes her away from her home planet. I do think it's going to be maybe a little heartbreaking to watch, a little bit of a farewell, if you will, but I think it would at least leave the door open for her possibly returning at any point in time if she wanted to, because I don't think you kill her off. I don't think you just like, all right, bye guys, and she just flies off. Like I think you give her an important mission that kind of takes her off planet. And goodness, what better way to have her fly off with her real life husband and Chris Wood, who plays Monel, and have these two superheroes go out into the 31st century together and move on to the future. Like, I've said this before, my love for wanting a Legion of Superheroes spinoff television series. And because Supergirl has been a part of the Legion of Superheroes team in the past on several occasions, and I think it would be a really good sort of fit for her. Listen, if Superman can leave the planet to go to Argo City and raise his kids, Supergirl can leave our time and dimension and eventually come back at one point in time. So I say push her into the future with Monel, have them start their family or whatever the case may be. Sorry, Saturn Girl or Ira, whatever the case may be. But yeah, I'm in agreement with you there, Stuart.
Yeah, and if that's not a satisfying enough ending for fans, that we know what they should do after that, they should do tie-in comic books so they can show things like within a comic book of the Legion of Superheroes that you would never be able to show on a CW TV show because of budgetary reasons.
That would be cool
to do.
That
and
would
you
be
wouldn't
cool.
have to worry about actors.
Yeah, and if Supergirl wants to come back, heck, give us that Legion of Superheroes spinoff show 2-3 years from now. Who knows?
Oh yes, please.
And then his last question says, we know right now the Spider-Man 3 cameos with Garfield and Maguire are rumors as of now. If they were to reprise their role as two different Peter Parkers, how would you like to see them come back and individual storylines in your own thoughts? How would you get them back, if anything? That would be, I haven't thought that. There's a reason why I'm not a writer, AJ, or at least a writer in Hollywood, I should say. So I don't have to come up with these plans. Stuart, you're the script guy. Do you have any things off the top of your head as to how you would integrate these two live action people into the movie?
Man, in the same movie, no. I know exactly how I would have done it with Tobey Maguire if I was writing Spider-Man 3. Just this would be if I was writing it as like the last Spider-Man movie in the Disney or to be connected to the MCU. I would have it basically be like for the first time in the Spider-Man movie, we get flashbacks of Uncle Ben, and I would have Uncle Ben being played by Tobey Maguire essentially, and then like kind of throughout the movie we get the plot, and I was thinking Sinister Six would be the coolest thing, but other than that we don't really get more flashbacks with Uncle Ben or anything like that. But we do get one last scene where it's essentially Spider-Man in his room and he sees Tobey Maguire standing there like over by his window, and he goes, Ben, is that you? And then Tobey Maguire shakes his head and goes, my name's Peter Parker from Earth, yada yada yada, and I need your help. And then we get Tom Holland for one last what the and then gets cut off.
I like it, man. I like it. Yeah, man. I really don't know, Stuart. I do like your idea. I think it's pretty brilliant. Like for me, because I'm such a supporter of them popping up into the multiverse. Like for some reason, I could just see Miles Morales having some type of conversation with like Madam Web, or he like gets sucked down this multiverse hole for some reason, and he has this conversation with her, and she winds up showing him all these different multiverses that exist out there, and we get the opportunity to see somebody like a Tobey Maguire and even Tom Holland, things like they all come up on the screen, if you will. And who knows, maybe there's a bigger, like, for me, I almost think it would be pretty cool if there's already a bigger mission that's been set up and that's already been taking place, and they pull Miles into that adventure. And so when Miles gets in there, we already have a mixture of live action and animated Spider-Man all chilling together, like trying to come together. You saw, like, almost reminds me of like the Forever Red by Power Rangers, right? The idea of these other Red Rangers plucking Cole out and throwing him into that adventure, and then you catch him up and then they go on their mission. I would love to see something like that where we already have Madam Web recruits Miles Morales into this big multiverse mission that they already have, where Toby and Tom and Andrew are already together, like it already been pulled into this mission, and they catch Miles Morales up. So maybe something along those lines would be pretty neat.
Yeah, definitely. I know this won't happen, but I do think that if they brought in Tom Holland into the Spider-Verse 2, it would be cool if they hinted at that at the very end of Spider-Man 3 of him getting pushed into that universe.
Or even if they don't bring Tom Holland in, at least open up the ending of Spider-Man or Into the Spider-Verse 2 with maybe like a lead-in for Spider-Man 3, or lead into like a Tom Holland post-credit scene or something like that. I think that would be pretty cool too. Let's see here, and I think that's actually probably all the questions from AJ here. So AJ, thank you very much for the live viewer question. He went ahead and submitted that over to our email account, aplusopinions@gmail.com. So yeah, if you guys have any questions throughout the week for A Plus Hero Report, just send them over to aplusopinions@gmail.com. So yeah, so that does it for that live viewer question. Let's jump into these comments, Stuart. Let's see if we can find some stragglers, some comments that's jumped out at us that we want to highlight a little bit. I will get this one up here from good old Jessica Friedman. What's up, Jess? Appreciate you coming through. She says, is the Supergirl movie going forward? And with Supergirl ending, would you like to see Stargirl take her spot in the Arrowverse? So Jessica, real quick, in regards to Supergirl, haven't heard anything on that front when it comes to a Supergirl movie as of right now. So I think maybe production has been stalled at the moment. I've been hearing rumors that because DC is maybe taking a look at Superman, maybe having some further development for the Superman character, and coming up with brand new ideas. I think they're going to be pushing forward with the Man of Steel stuff and maybe put Supergirl on the back burner for now. But we'll see what happens. We can get an announcement anytime. And what about you, Stuart, in regards to Supergirl ending? Would you like to see Stargirl take her spot in the Arrowverse? I almost feel like she I won't say kind of has already, but she's certainly making her presence felt with just her first season, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see that. It was funny. This was something that Brett Bassinger brought up, but it would be kind of cool if we ever had a crossover with Stargirl and Supergirl, just because I feel like those two characters would have great chemistry with each other. But yeah, like as for now, yeah, I could kind of see Stargirl kind of like taking that kind of place of being the really lighthearted, kind of hope-filled show of the Arrowverse. Definitely.
Yeah, I can definitely see that also. So thank you very much for that question, Jessica. I appreciate it. You know, for me, I still really would love to see you know, I was gonna say maybe they could still manage a Supergirl and Stargirl crossover. I just feel like it's a really missed opportunity, man. You know, I mean, unfortunately, you can't help how things wind up turning out, but talk about a missed opportunity. I really would love to have seen that happen, you know?
Yeah, it's just going to be really complicated now with COVID because of them being on different locations.
Yeah, I know. I definitely agree.
Okay, I thought this comment was pretty funny. Batwoman's car looks like a Hot Wheel. Like, I gotta see that. Yeah, like I think it was kind of cool, but I don't know. I actually think I would have liked it a lot more if it didn't have the Bat logos or anything on it. If it was just a black car, honestly, because I feel like with the logos on it, it just looks a little silly.
This reminds me, like, just the color scheme alone reminds me of the classic Adam West Batmobile. Like, almost if they had just taken the top off of this, I feel like it would be classic Adam West Batmobile all day with that color scheme.
Yeah, I'm a little mixed about it. Maybe
If
when
you,
I see it like actually like playing out in the show, I'll probably like it a little bit more.
but yeah, guys, if you guys know what type of car that is, please go ahead and let us know. Is that a Porsche? No, I don't know what that is. I feel like I still say Corvette, but maybe I'm wrong.
Forgot it. I always forget about the many different toys that they'll sell at Burger King. But yeah, it's Bacon Sushi talking about Static Shock and saying he had the toy from Burger King Happy Meal.
I might have actually even had that toy, honestly. So Shadow Nova's in agreement with the idea of Michael B. Jordan playing Icon. I would be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
I would totally be okay with that. Oh, they were talking about yeah, there you go. I'm glad you brought it up.
I was going to bring this up. Yeah, I don't know if this is true, but I heard Hot Streak was like a racist, but don't know if it'll make it into the movie. The friend was Richie. It was Richie, not Reggie. My bad. Yeah, I mean I thought he was, because like even before both him and Static had superpowers, he was like bullying Static Shock for like no reason. So I always kind of assumed that, but I could be wrong. I don't know if they ever directly said it, but it was definitely kind of implied, to my opinion.
Oh, okay. This is from Power Rangers in your area. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just distracted with the idea of if there's anything that Disney doesn't like. I just imagine Mickey ripping up contracts and stamping a huge denied stamp on big old mouse ears. Nope, sorry, not today. And he just a big old, not today.
Oh man, have you haven't seen the South Park pandemic special yet, have you?
No.
They South Park, they've recently just made Mickey Mouse like just a character on the show, and he's like one of the greatest things on the show. It's hilarious.
I forget that yours.
I don't think so.
Let's see here.
A lot of talking about Toby in the chat. Tobey Maguire.
The Sam Raimi Spider-Man films will always be my favorite Spidey trilogy. We saw the Spider-Man 3, The Darkest. I miss my homeboy Toby. I do miss Tobey Maguire a little bit too. I mean, not that I don't like Tom Holland. I just mean like as an actor, I really do miss Tobey Maguire. I don't know what he's doing these days, but I would love to see him pop back up, honestly, in something.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in anything too recently. I think they will pop in 2021 in the movie, either last minute end credits or Into the Spider-Verse 2. Yeah, like you said, I think Into the Spider-Verse 2 is the better bet.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll get all three of the Spider-Man on there, but if we're looking at just getting Andrew and Garfield in there, I think that would be pretty cool if they can get them into the Spider-Verse too. So Power Rangers in your area says, in regards to Tatiana Maslany, says, if it was a month ago, she wants to wait so that she won't jump to conclusions either way, though. You don't want to deny it so fast that it looks fishy. He follows up. He says, if you do it too fast, no one would believe you. If you do it too slow, you're lying. No, I mean, honestly, I feel like if she came out and denied it quickly, I'd be like, okay, she put the kibosh on that. I feel like the idea of her coming out so slow is really what's leaving me confused. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like if she had just come out, like the moment Mark Ruffalo tweets you, hey, cuz, welcome to the team, or something like that.
That's where you should have been like, has been confirmed yet, guys.
something. So yeah. But who knows? We really don't even know the story yet, but we'll see. But people do seem to think it's pretty fishy.
Mm-hmm. Kind of similar to the Dino Fury cast with Chance and Alexandria not being in New Zealand or not being revealed when the others were.
Oh yeah, I guess the idea of not being revealed as part of the cast. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Alexandria Nunez. Yeah, I mean, somebody did point out, and this is one of the reasons why I mentioned it last time on APlus More Phenomenal last week was the idea that maybe these are old posts from Alexandra Nunez, you know, like old photos of her remembering her time in San Francisco, whatever the case may be, because her current IG posts aren't showing her location in New Zealand at all compared to the other Rangers. So I don't know what's going on in regards to Alexandra Nunez. Is she still a part of the cast, or is she coming on board at a later time? I have no idea.
It also could be that when the Illuminati first mentioned who they knew were going to be cast in the show, it could be that was correct information at the time. But we have seen before, like we even saw at Morphicon when they were announcing the cast for Ninja Steel. One of the actors I remember ended up getting replaced very last minute, so it could be something similar.
Oh, I feel you. I do want to bring this up here real quick. So Power Ranger Area says, okay, I'm done. If we're talking about freaking politics, I'm done. Listen, Power Rangers in your area, we don't really try and talk a lot of politics around here. But honestly, when it comes to some of those decisions by politics affecting what it is that we talk about on a weekly basis here, which is movies, sometimes it gets brought up in conversation. I mean, you certainly don't have to sit around and listen to us certainly talk about it. We're not really getting into politics deeply. We're really just talking about the effects of the idea of, you know, what the pandemic has done to movie going experiences and what it certainly could do to movie going experiences in the future, because it does play a large significant role. The idea of not wanting to hear about politics, hey, you could be as oblivious about it as you want, but make no mistake, what's happening in politics these days are in fact changing our courses of history and how things are certainly done these days. And the movie theaters is a perfect and prime example of one of those casualties, I guess you can say, or people that are having to deal with it, not getting the funding and the relief that maybe some of these movie theaters need to keep their doors open, right? Or to keep some of their employees furloughed. All that stuff is important for Disney Plus and Marvel and Disney Studios, because they need these movie theaters to be open if they want to become successful. So I know you don't like hearing about freaking politics, but make no mistake, it is in fact all connected to each other. So while we don't talk politics a lot on the show, when we do, understand it is for a reason, for a purpose. So sorry about that, Alex. But yeah, that's the truth of it. But yeah. Who else is up in here? Ballin. What's up, Ballin? Appreciate you coming through. He says, great show. Love you guys. Well, hey, Ballin, we appreciate you throwing in your 2 cents, man, letting your presence be known here. And hopefully you'll come back week to week, man, every Sunday, 11 a.m. Central Time. So join us then. Anita's in the house. What's up, Anita? Appreciate you stopping by today.
And here we go. More Supergirl related questions. I have a feeling the writers will bring Kara and William together, and a huge argument online will make fans pissed. I know a lot of people do not like the idea of Kara and Williams. I'm one of them. Like, I don't think William's that terrible of a character, but it was so clear from the start that he was only there to really push a relationship between him and Kara. Like that's kind of like his literally only purpose. So yeah, I just
talking about it's not. Hey, listen, that's not William's only purpose. He's also there to cook your meals, to be the perfect boyfriend, massage your feet, get your bathtub ready, bake cookies for you. I mean, that's William, man. I mean, he's as perfect of a man as possible, right?
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, that I could see that being where the writers go, as if they're trying to go into the direction of, see, you have to be a perfect guy like William to get a girl like Supergirl. It's like, can we just get Mon-El back? They had so much better chemistry.
Mon-El, come through, Mon-El, and squash this guy, man. Make him a bug on the side of the windshield, Mon-El. I'm so over William. But you're right. Listen, William does have his great traits about him. There's definitely no denying that. Very handsome guy. I can easily see why Kara certainly fell for him. But make no mistake, while they certainly play up the idea of like, oh, he's a reporter and he's into this mystery, and him and Kara are going to work together, he's there because he's meant to be to catch the eye of Kara Danvers, if you will, and he certainly did that. So listen, if they end up being in a relationship, I'm okay with it. I'm still going to give William a hard time because he's just way too perfect for me, if you ask me. But it is a case of I would not mind Monel coming back, squashing this guy, and be like, "This is my girl. Let's go to the 31st century. Let's get out of here, Kara." And then just leaving William in the dust. That's how I would love to see things play out. But I wouldn't be surprised if in this last and final season they're like, let's have Kara settle down and find a man that she loves, and her and William. I don't want to see that. I really don't want to see that though. But you guys know how I would like to see this season, and if it happens, okay. But
Yeah,
definitely not my first choice.
I'm not hate on the show for it doing something that I personally wouldn't have, but at the same time,
it's just not my first
I am
choice.
still like kind of hoping it doesn't.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, this was interesting. So they, if they do the statics, the surfing thing from the animated series, they can take the CG from Fantastic Four and change the color. It looks very similar to Silver Surfer's ability. I'd say just do your own thing. Make it, because I think like the way they did it in Spider-Man, for example, with the Green Goblin, having him like on his glider, like in front of a green screen with like wires attached to it. I think that'd probably be the easiest way to do it. Just have the actor on top of like a small platform that actually moves in front of a green screen, and then you could pretty much just paste him into any scene that way. That's how I think they're going to do it, and it'll look really good.
Okay, yeah, I would be open to that. But yeah, definitely do their own thing for sure. Bacon and Sushi says Toby's last memorable movie he did after Spider-Man was The Great Gatsby. That's right. Okay. I forgot. Every time I think of that movie, I immediately think Leonardo DiCaprio, but he definitely is in like the next lead role in that movie. Tobey Maguire is in The Great Gatsby. Great film. So thank you for bringing that up. Shadow Nova even says Toby was in the Boss Baby movie. Just realized I had no idea. Did he do one of the voices? I'm assuming for one of the characters. I had no idea.
Probably.
Bacon and Sushi does say, is there a chance we can meet the other members of APlus Opinions family, like the video greeting? Ooh, that'd be interesting to see if we can get like Renee, Kevin, and Reggie on a meeting once here in APlus Hero Report. How many people can we stuff in these meetings?
I think for StreamYard, it goes up to like 10 or something. It has a lot.
Okay, maybe I'll pull the teeth of everybody and be like, guys, this Sunday people want to see you. Let's do this. Some people feel more and more don't feel as comfortable on camera. Listen, sometimes getting people in front of the camera is not easy, man.
Mm-hmm.
If that were the case, APlus Opinions, we'd have a lot more co-hosts and additional members on our YouTube channel than we do. But some people just don't feel comfortable being in front of the camera.
Then, last question I definitely want to answer. So TV related, I wonder if we'll get an adaptation of the Masters for Dino Fury, either former Dino Rangers or new people to start the series off before giving a new team. There was like the funny thing because of like the way it was worded in Hasbro's like announcement that the Dino Fury would have like the original Rangers. People weren't sure if that meant like the original Mighty Morphin Rangers or maybe like original Rangers as like the very first Rangers within that universe. The only reason I don't think they mean the original Mighty Morphin team is because all the actors from Mighty Morphin that are still currently on social media, they post stuff all the time on social media. So I feel like if any one of them were going to have like a major role within Dino Fury, we would have known about it by now.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning towards too, man. Like, I feel like we probably would have heard something, or maybe there'd be like an inkling of some information. Like for me, I've always been under the impression, and I don't know why, but just a speculation on my part, the idea of maybe seeing David Yost come back as a mentor in here. I feel like if you're looking for a great opportunity to do a mentorship or mentor storyline, again, we don't really know the storyline that Dino Fury is tackling, but it is a case of who are we going to? Sorry, I got distracted. The dogs are like barking in the background, so I got distracted for a second. But it is a case of damn, what were we talking about, Stuart? I just went completely blank.
About Dino Fury in the case of like
yes,
you're bringing up
David Yost. David Yost coming back. We don't know what the Real Soldier adaptation storyline is going to be as of yet. I think the idea of us seeing at least the first 3 Rangers being introduced and brought to New Zealand and filming, I think maybe it does hint at that idea also that we would get mentors. And I have heard David Yost talk openly on IG before, and I feel like especially a lot this past year about his possible returning to Power Rangers. People ask him all the time if he would return, and he said, yeah, I would be completely open to it. I don't want to do a cameo role. If I was going to do a role, it would be it would in fact be, like I want a mentorship or a big significant role to play for this season. So I think if there was any opportunity to certainly go ahead and do that and bringing him in, I felt like this is the opportunity to do that. Who knows if Austin St. John would return? Like my three to return would be Austin St. John, Amy Jo Johnson, and David Yost, who were the red, pink, and blue Rangers. I am feeling more and more like we're not getting it though. As each passing week goes without any announcements. I just don't know if that's an announcement that you're ready to make as of right now, or if you're waiting a little bit further down the line to kind of make that announcement. I haven't seen too much from Amy Jo or Jason to know whether or not they are in New Zealand. And I haven't really heard too much from David Yost, even though I feel like David Yost is usually pretty active on social media. So if he is pretty active, definitely go ahead and check out his stuff and see, like if he's super active, that just tells me maybe he has a lot of time on his hands, so he's not filming somewhere. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I guess, if their pages all stop being active, then maybe that's a good time to do some speculation.
Yeah, so we'll see. I hope we do get some mentors. And if it's not the original MMPR cast, I would be cool if it's former cast members of like Dino Charge or Dino Thunder to come back. So that I would like to, if I'm going to get mentors, I would like it to be people that we know and not a new cast. But if it is a new cast just for mentorship roles, that's fine. But I do think it would be more powerful to have at least somebody from a past Dino season to be a mentor.
Yeah. Something I know this is like too cool to ever happen, but it would be kind of cool if they had like the original Mighty Morphin team. But their role would be like the Masters from what was it called? Jungle Fury. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I get you. Okay, like the bat and the elephant and things like that.
Yeah, like they would have moments where they would show off, but like for the most part, it would be about the new team until like the season finale, where suddenly it's like an all out brawl with the Masters and the Rangers all together. Like that would be really cool.
That would be really cool, and I would be completely on board for all that, honestly. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to actually wrap it up for us here today. So guys, thank you very much for joining us for another brand new episode of APlus Hero Report this Sunday. We do have plans on returning next Sunday as well, ladies and gentlemen. So certainly tune into us live every Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Time. If you want to go ahead and submit a live viewer question, you can certainly go ahead and do opinions up top here at gmail.com. Just go ahead and submit your live viewer questions throughout the week, and we'll certainly tackle them at the end of each of our shows here. But other than that, Stuart, I mean, we've got a Swamp Thing review coming for you guys later on this week, so certainly look out for that. I believe maybe the Hellstrom television show might have started. I'll check. If episode 1 has dropped, maybe we'll do a review for the short-lived Hellstrom Marvel show on Hulu, so look out for that. And of course, maybe some highlights from this week's episode also. But Stuart, if people want to go ahead and reach out to you, sir, on social media, where can they go ahead and find you?
You guys can follow me at TurboStew01 on Twitter, and you can also check out my YouTube channel, Turbo Studios.
Awesome, Stuart. Thank you very much, man, for certainly joining me today. Unfortunately, Indy wasn't able to join us. Hopefully, we'll be able to get him in sometime next weekend, if at all possible. But again, quick shout out to Indy also for doing a great job in regards to hosting APlus Hero Report last weekend for us. So thank you very much, man. But other than that, that's going to do it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Again, if you haven't subscribed to us yet, do yourselves a big favor. Hit that subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube, along with that bell notification. So anytime we drop a brand new video, you will certainly be notified. If you're watching us on Facebook and you want to join us over on YouTube, feel free to go ahead and find our channel, APlus Hero Report. You certainly can't miss it. Hit that subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, if you want to follow us on social media, right up here, APlus Opinions. You can find us on our Facebook page, which is our hub. You can find us on Twitter as well, Instagram, and Twitch for you gamers also. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, that will certainly wrap it up for us to here today. So next time, do us a big favor, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and until next time, keep it A+. I'll talk to you later. Bye.